This is a story about this year's blood moon. It's also the story of my family, my mom and dad, and my two brothers, Ty and TJ, and about how 60 years goes by, and that's a life. That weekend, my father had been in the hospital, and my mom had been very worried when she took him in about what was going to happen. Luckily, he was getting better. And on the night of the blood moon, my husband Sam wheeled my dad out of the hospital so he could look up at the moon. And as it was getting smaller, my dad said, "Well, I can see how this is going to end. You can wheel me back in." And we all laughed. Later, we went home, and my brother Ty and I, and my mom and I, sat outside and we watched the rest of the blood moon. My mom was very quiet, and she told me how scared she had been. Well, unbeknownst to us that night, my dad used his breathing machine, and he woke up the next day and decided that was the best night's sleep he had ever had in his entire life. And so he came home ready to go, unfortunately. If you know what he's like when he makes up his mind that something's going to happen. So the first thing that he insisted we do is we had to go see the tractor because Sam and I hadn't seen his tractor. And if you don't know that story, it has to do with Leroy having a tractor, and then Herb saying to my dad, "Well, I have an old tractor that you could fix up," and then Jim spending hours and hours trying to fix the tractor. And that's the way, a lot of stories with my dad go, is it takes a whole village to raise Jerry, and we love him and enjoy the story as it goes. So we went down and we saw the tractor run. My brother Ty drove it around the field. Then we walked over to his barn, and he wanted me to see his pickup truck. And he tells a story about when I was in high school, I was embarrassed by his beautiful old green truck, and that he wanted to make me a truck that I'd be proud to drive. I love my dad, and it's funny how and I love old pickup trucks, and my brother and I, Ty, exchange pictures of old pickup trucks just for entertainment. I got in the truck and I hauled it down the road. Man, it had no back on it, and it drove like crazy, and I was laughing and laughing, and I got back and they were happy. That evening was the night after the blood moon, and the moon came up really beautifully orange, and my mom and dad went outside, and my dad danced with my mom, and they sang to each other in the light of the silvery moon, and they were just so quiet, dancing in the moonlight. And I thought, what a good story they have made, that I cry like my dad, and I love like my mom. So here's to them, to the joyful grandchildren, to life itself.
Well, I can't get your picture if you get in it. You gotta back up.